We'll go to Bedford for tonight's No Days Off segment. Chris Vicars is the newest head coach for the Kicking Mules. While it's his first season at Bedford, he's been around the block with plenty of success. After just 2 years at Swanton, he led the program to a league championship and even won a playoff game. Now, prior to his tenure with the Bulldogs, get this, they averaged 2 wins a year for almost 2 decades. Then at Genoa, Vicars won 48 consecutive regular season games and added 2 trips to the state Final Four to his resume. BCSN's Danny Rogers sits down with Bedford's new addition in tonight's No Days Off.
How would you explain the Coach Vicars effect to someone who may not have looked at your resume yet?
The Coach Vicars effect. Well, I think it's changed a lot over the years. As a matter of fact, people have told me, I'll give you a quick little story. When I was coaching at Swanton a few years ago, one of my former players that played for me at Delta was helping me coach, and we were like 2 days into the two-a-day season, and he says, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure, what's wrong?" And he goes, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what's wrong?" He goes, "You've changed, you're not the same guy." And I laughed a little bit and I said, "Mark, I think that's maturity." And so, the Coach Vicars effect, I don't know. I think part of it is just bringing a sense of, some organization and I guess a demand of giving your best. We have a philosophy, we say it all the time, be your best. And everybody says, what's that be your best mean? And it goes way beyond the football part of it, and it goes into just every element, doing all the little things right, whether it's driving out of here at night in your car and not driving like a crazy man, or before you leave tonight, you clean up your locker, and being a good citizen, being a good teammate, being a good son for your parents. All those things kind of go in it. So that's my effect that I try to bring to the table.
Now, when we look at your resume, it contains just bringing teams that have not seen successful years and turning them not into winning teams, but powerhouses and league champions and making it into the playoffs. How have you made teams reach those levels?
Well, I've been very blessed to get into some good situations of, yes, those teams were down, but we were reaching an era where some good kids were coming through. And so I think you start with that, kids that are willing and hungry. And I think those kids were very hungry in the sense because they hadn't won before and they wanted to taste that a little bit. And then you couple that with having talent, that was a very good thing. And I've been very blessed too, over years of having some really good help that also bought into it. And I think that buy-in of everything that you do each and every day, football is hard. And I think it's really hard in today's world. Our society's a lot different. You really got to try to find a way that you can get kids to run through a wall for each other. And when you do that and you got some good people that have good parents and good support, you have a chance to be successful. And I know that's been the formula for me. It's nothing special that I've done for sure. It's just having those good people.
You've made stops at Swanton and Genoa, among others. Which was the hardest stop?
Right now is the hardest stop.
Really?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons for that, and I can elaborate. They're all difficult to start over because you're having to change that culture of what you're trying to do, especially in those situations where they hadn't won before, because you had to. Because when things don't go very well, people will always go back to old habits. You're trying to change habits, but they'll go back to old habits. Kind of like my diet. I'll do really well for a while, and then when things get a little stressful, I break it all the time, and here I am right back to where I was. So, but this situation I mentioned I think it's one of the more difficult, just because of the sense that they've been successful, and but yet I still have to get a buy-in from them about what we're doing, because it's different. The approach is different. I'm a different person than what Coach Wood was. They had a lot of great success in those types of things. And I think it makes it also, for me personally, maybe a little bit fearful. I don't want to let people down. I want to continue the good things for these kids, especially the senior class. They get a new coach this year, and that's got to be hard for those kids. All they knew was one thing growing up through their whole lives, and then all of a sudden, this guy that comes in and wants them to do some things differently.